Welcome to today's Shippo service hours. Before we get into it, I'm going to introduce your hosts and your guides for today's webinar. I'm Joe. I'm on the customer success team here at Shippo, and I'm just going to help guide the conversation on how a lot of our merchants are getting started. Sergio, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. We're going to have a good time today. So my name is Sergio. I'm on the sales team. I work directly with Mike. I also work with Joe a lot. Really work with everybody on the team. But I've been with Shippo for almost a year. Not much experience in e-commerce, but definitely over these last 10 to 11 months have really developed my education and perspective on e-commerce. So I'm excited to give you guys some pointers and teach you guys about Shippo.
Awesome. Thank you for introducing yourself. And then Mike, your turn.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for, that's my fiance, Margaret. My name is Mike Hathaway. I run our sales team here at Shippo. And I have been at Shippo for about 2 years. Very familiar with both the e-commerce and shipping, logistics, fulfillment, 3PL. When it comes to shipping out a package, I am here ready to help and go over a lot of that information today. Particularly excited that we're kicking off Q4 this week, and I know it's a busy season for a lot of our merchants, customers, friends, family. So I want to make sure that we really dive into what it looks like to handle an efficient shipping fulfillment operation for your e-commerce business or just for shipping out packages. And hopefully we can cover a lot of those questions today. And I know Joe's going to take a lot of your questions as well. So Sergio and I will try our absolute best to make sure we cover everything with you today.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I am looking forward to your expertise through this webinar. And actually, that was a perfect segue to just give everyone a quick background on who Shippo is and what we do. And for that, I'm going to go to you, Mike, if you can give us a quick, pitch on what we do.
Pitch, explanation, whatever it may be, depending on how much coffee you've had. So Shippo is an order management platform for e-commerce businesses to access discounted shipping rates across multiple carriers. More than anything else, our tool is designed to provide transparency in the rate shopping process so that you know for each and every shipment you're sending out, you're meeting delivery timelines that you and your customer expect, you're paying the lowest amount possible for those shipments, and you're communicating that information effectively and hopefully as easily as possible to the buyer so there's no questions about delivery timelines. And then we help with the post-purchase experience as well. So if you have to manage returns, invoices, anything along those lines, our tool is here to help with that process, provide very customizable workflows so that you can, once again, know that you're saving a lot of money on shipping and make the process of generating those shipping labels as quick and painless as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And we will refer to Shippo a ton today through this webinar. But what we really wanted to do was host a webinar to help a lot of our customers that are really just getting started. COVID really created a new space for customers to come online and start shipping. And we realized that there were a ton of people who really didn't know where to get started. So we wanted to provide some guidance there. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the very first questions that I had when I was learning about shipping in the shipping world was packaging. It was a natural question to try to understand, how do I get my package from point A to point B? What's the best packaging to choose? And Sergio, I'm going to look to you for some guidance here.
Thanks, Joe. So this is probably, I think after you've established your business, this might be the first question that you're going to ask yourself. And it's very, very important. You really need to think about this question before you get up and go. So you have your brand, you have your website, you have your product. You've got orders maybe. So now you need to determine, how am I going to ship these items? What type of packaging am I going to use? So there's really a lot to think about when choosing your packaging. So some of the things you want to think about just right out of the gate is, what exactly am I shipping? Are these items, are they small? Are they big? Are they fragile? Are they time sensitive? these are some of the things that you need to think about in order to determine the packaging that you're sending. If you're sending out packages that, maybe it's glass, you're sending out, I don't know, a sugar scrub, or maybe even like a salsa, you're probably not going to want to send them in a poly mailer or anything of that sort. If they're fragile, you're going to want to go with the box. And then on the other side, if you're shipping things that are not so fragile, maybe you ship out t-shirts or items that are similar, you're probably not going to want to ship out in a box. You're going to want to go with the poly mailer. You're going to want to go with something flat. And there's a few reasons why, because it's really going to help you with cost. So and the reasons why are because the items that you're sending out, if they're able to go in something small and light, it's going to be cheaper for you in the long run. These rates are going to be cheaper. If you're utilizing big packages, especially boxes, they're almost always going to weigh more than poly mailers, and you can possibly break through to the next threshold in pricing. So you want to determine that. The normal rule of thumb here is, if possible, if you can put your items in a poly mailer, I typically always recommend that. Padded envelopes as well, because they're just going to take up less space and it's going to save you some more money. Also, another thing to think about is, what types of rates are you probably going to be going with? Are you going to be going with flat rate, or are you going to be going with just the general rates? And the good thing about that is, with flat rate specifically, you can get free boxes. So you can get free packaging from USPS. USPS specifically, you can either order online, or you can even go into a local office. And if you're utilizing their USPS flat rates, you can actually get those materials for free. Unfortunately, Shippo, we do not provide any material or hardware, but we're definitely here to point you in the right direction. So if you're utilizing flat rate, if it makes sense, and we'll dive more into that, what flat rate means, when it's good to use flat rate. But if you're going to go flat rate, you can get free material, you can get free packaging. If you're not, of course, you will have to buy material. Always recommend buying in bulk as well. So whether that's on Uline or that's something like Amazon, buying in bulk is going to save you some money. You don't have to buy in the hundreds or the thousands, but even buying in small quantities, it's always going to be better than buying boxes as you go. So those are some things to think about as far as packaging goes: fragile items, non-fragile items. And always, even if it is a box, always make sure that you're buying packaging that can be as fitted as possible. Take up the least amount of space. If you do need a little bit of buffer for, packing peanuts or something that's going to secure your items, that's totally fine, but always try and opt for the smallest packaging for your products, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Sergio. And you mentioned it a little bit here. Packaging is a big part of shipping costs, but there are a couple other factors as well. And can you guide us through that as well?
Yeah, and this is another big thing when it comes to running any type of business in e-commerce, or if you're just, shipping stuff in general out of your brick and mortar store. It's, how do I minimize costs? Shipping is a big expense, and what you want to do is you want to save the most money. So what you're doing right now, all the participants, everyone that's watching this, you already made a step in the right direction by trying to utilize a platform like Shippo. We're going to help you minimize costs, period, because we are providing heavily discounted rates with USPS, UPS, and even DHL for your international orders. Eventually, we are going to add more carriers as well. But utilizing a platform like Shippo, you already checked one box, you're already going to be getting discounts. So utilizing Shippo is step one in how to minimize costs. And even looking here on this chart here, you can see we have a breakdown, a matrix, whatever you want to call it, of the pricing and our offerings. So you really want to determine what is going to make the most sense for you. Am I able to ship things that can be in transit for 7, 8, 9, 10 days? Or do I need to send things out over the course of a day or two? You need to think about these things. That way you can pick the right option that we offer. So for example, our pricing matrix here, we have our zones, we have it priced by the zones, we have it priced by the weight as well. And you can really determine what it is that you're going to be paying, and probably what it is that you want to charge your customers as well. So you really want to focus on the offerings that we offer, or on the offerings that are available through Shippo. And then another thing is minimizing, is focusing on whether or not I'm going to be using standard rates, or if I'm going to be using flat rates. So flat rates are awesome because you really just see a price and that's it. It's not going to change. As long as you don't exceed 75 pounds, the pricing is not going to change, and you can really send it anywhere in the US and it's going to be the same price. So flat rate sounds great, but there's going to be times when flat rate might not be so beneficial. We don't have the full chart here, but even if you look down there on the corner on the bottom right, The worst case scenario for something under a pound is going to be $5.70. So it might not make sense to send something out in a small flat rate box because it's close to $2 more. A lot of people like to focus on flat rate because it's really like a set it and forget it situation. You're not worrying about the price. It's always the same. And then you can easily carry that over to your customers. But you really have to realize, what is it that I'm shipping? And on the bottom of this matrix that we unfortunately can't see right now, there's even prices for things that are above a pound that are anywhere from zero all the way up to, I believe, about 10 pounds or more. And there's some cases there where flat rate also still doesn't make sense. Once you get to a certain threshold, then it makes more sense to utilize flat rate. So really being focused on what your options are going to be and determining what you need to do with your items is key, because you don't want to waste too much money by doing that. And then also there can be times when you're using priority mail and maybe you're spending $10 or $12 and it makes sense to use the small flat rate box. So then you're kind of giving away money there. You don't exactly want to do that. So really utilizing these matrices that we provide, and even the pricing that's available in Shippo, is key. See what it is that we're going to charge, dial in the cost, and then also minimize your packaging and take advantage of these rates.
Awesome. Thanks, Sergio. So now you have your package and you kind of know what the rates are going to be for your packages. Naturally, the next step is to actually send out your package. And Mike, I'm going to go to you to kind of walk us through carrier pickups and how that all works.
Yeah, great question. So when you create a label on Shippo, there are a bunch of different ways you can get your package to the carrier. So if you're using your own carrier, like a FedEx or UPS or DHL, basically any carrier that we work with, you're always able to just drop that package off at their location. So if it's easy for you to go to the post office, if it's easy for you to go to your UPS store, you can certainly just drop those off directly at those locations. With the label on the package, and they won't ask you to pay anything else. You'll just be able to drop them in their outgoing box. No other questions asked, and generally you don't even have to talk to anybody to do that. You just leave it right on the counter. The other way you can get pickups is through Shippo's application. So you can schedule pickups at your location with USPS and DHL for outgoing shipments. You can find, and it's shown here on this slide in a bottom left or bottom right corner, but in our shipments tab, where you'll find all of your previously created labels. Right at the top of the page, there's a button that says schedule pickups. You'll just select the carrier at that point, confirm where your package is going to be left at your location, confirm your address, and then they'll come and pick it up directly from you. This is a feature we've seen a ton used over the last, especially 6 or so months. Is obviously people are trying to avoid physical locations, but definitely a very popular option. One thing to note, you may be asked by a postal worker for something called a scan form if you're shipping out more than a couple packages at once. A scan form is a single sheet of paper that references all of the shipments going out for you that day. So instead of scanning all of your different boxes, that postal worker can scan this single sheet and pick up all the packages and have them already scanned into their system. So if you're asked for one of these scan forms, you can create this in Shippo. And just like scheduling a pickup, it's in our shipments tab. In the top right-hand corner, there's a button that says create manifest, and you'll be able to create this piece of paper just by hitting that button for your postal worker when asked. One important note, you have to create this scan form the same day you create your labels. So generally a postal worker will ask you for a scan form next time you're sending out your packages, and we'll accept them that time. The next time, create your labels, create your scan form, and then your postal worker will become your best friend because they don't have to scan all of your packages. So really easy to avoid going to the post office if you want to right now. Otherwise, you can just drop it in their outgoing box to give them the package.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And the other question I had around packages and getting them to where they need to go was around insurance and really protecting, my product and making sure that if anything happens, I'm protected. So Mike, can you offer some guidance there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a question we hear about all the time, especially for myself. I ship out, I shipped a laptop to my brother last week and wanted to make sure that if it was damaged in transit, I had a way to get some recompense and make sure I felt a little bit better sending something that's a little bit more high value through, shipping through one of our partners here. So when you are shipping with USPS and you're shipping out either priority mail or priority mail express, just like when you ship at the post office, there's automatic coverage included on those shipments. So when you're sending priority mail or priority mail express shipments, you get automatic coverage from USPS of $100 in those instances. So if your item is under $100 and you're shipping priority mail, you already have fantastic coverage. Now, if you're shipping through a different carrier, or maybe your package, much like my shipment to my brother last week, is worth more than $100, and you want to add additional insurance, you can do that directly through Shippo. We partner with the top logistics package and parcel insurer, Shipsurance, to provide shipping insurance to our customers. It's located directly within the application. As you're creating the label, as you're seeing in the GIF on your screen, there's a section that you can hit to select shipment insurance. Then all you have to do is add the value and a quick description, and the purchase will automatically include this coverage. Shipping insurance has a cost of either 1% or 1.25% of the total coverage amount. So if you're adding an additional $100, it's either $1 or $1.25. The difference in cost is based on the plan you're on here at Shippo. So we have our pay-as-you-go plan, where insurance costs 1.25%, and our professional or subscription plan, where insurance costs 1%. If you're insuring a lot of packages, the subscription plan will be much cheaper for you long term. The great thing about Shipsurance is that they have a fantastic support and claims team, and that was one of the main reasons we partnered with them. They have a really quick turnaround on claims processes. They work with the carriers directly so that the heavy lifting by you, the shipper, is fairly minimal, and they have quick payouts in the instance, and in the rare instance that package is either damaged or lost in transit. So adding shipping insurance is a great way to have peace of mind, especially if your item that you're shipping is a little bit more expensive.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And we've mentioned it a couple of times now, but one of the biggest advantages to using Shippo is being able to compare rates against multiple carriers. And Sergi, I'm going to come back to you to kind of guide us through that.
Yeah, definitely. So optimizing with carriers. So this is very crucial. This is very crucial. I talk to a lot of people daily, and normally people have focus on a specific carrier. So what we've done here at Shippo is we've done a lot of work that would otherwise take a lot of time and a lot of volume from a customer perspective to establish. So we've negotiated amazing rates with a few carriers. So I mentioned earlier, we offer discounted rates with USPS, UPS, DHL, and again, we are adding. So hopefully this time next year, we might have a couple more. So we're constantly trying to increase the variety that we have. And the reason why is because everyone kind of has a specialty here. So it isn't to say that, okay, UPS or FedEx or USPS, they are a clear winner 100% of the time. They're the best carrier there ever was. That's not the situation, unfortunately. We have these offerings because everyone does something a little different. So if you're sending out small things, maybe they're not too crucial, maybe not something extremely expensive, USPS might be the way to go. Normally they have the best rates for items that are smaller and that weigh less. So you want to utilize USPS for those things. If you're sending out big boxes, they're heavy, they're 10, 15 pounds. That's when you'll notice that UPS becomes a lot more cost effective in comparison to USPS. They might even switch sides at that point. USPS can be close to double what UPS is offering. And if you switch it around, if you have a very light, maybe half a pound item, UPS can be double of what USPS has. So what we've done here with the Shippo platform is we've done the work for you. When you're going to an order and you're fulfilling it, if you have 3 carriers connected and they all have relevant results, you're going to get all of those offerings. You're going to get all of their service levels. You're going to get all their pricing. So when you're actually fulfilling these orders, you'll be able to make the right decision. So if you got an order came in and they need something to go out, next day air or 2 day, you'll have that option there. You can make the decision. Maybe it's not going to be the cheapest, but if you run a very general business and what you like to focus on is pricing, we're going to always pick the cheapest rate for you by default. If you don't change anything on the back end, Shippo will choose the cheapest rate. And if you have a business where things can really vary, and maybe this package was extremely light and then that package was extremely heavy, you'll notice when you look back at your shipments that you might have had a variety. And let's say you're shipping things internationally, maybe there might be a DHL order sprinkled in there for some reason. Maybe DHL only delivers to that specific region that you sent the package to. So the way that you can optimize, again, going back to my first thing about cost, is utilizing a platform like Shippo. It is so crucial to have Shippo do this work for you. I spoke to a person last week that had 3 different platforms for all 3 for the 3 carriers that we have. So they were using USPS, they were using UPS, and actually FedEx. They had a FedEx little area. So they were using 3 different platforms to get these rates. We will bring everything in one. That way you can make the right decision at the right time. And then also another thing I kind of didn't mention about cost on flat rates, just a general rule of thumb here so you can optimize. If you're shipping something small and it's local, it's in your state, flat rate is most likely not going to work. If this item is going across the country and it's pretty heavy, that's when you want to use flat rate. So always think about that when you're getting orders in and you're looking at them. So yeah, it's crucial here to utilize all of the all of the carriers. Try not to go into the carriers and turn off any of those if you can, because again, we don't want you to miss out on a carrier that may have had a better option. So here, what you want to do is activate all your carriers, make sure that it's green to go, they're active, not in test mode, and utilize all of those carriers, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, Sergio. And one thing that we have seen come up a little bit more often now that we are in COVID times and a ton of new customers are coming online is international shipments. And for that, I'm going to go to you, Mike, to give us a little bit more guidance on how to handle international packages.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. And this is certainly something that as businesses expand or they're targeting different markets with their marketing, is usually this is usually something that we're asked about by scaling businesses or as people handle their first couple of international orders. And certainly international shipping can be an intimidating process. There's paperwork involved. It's a little bit more expensive. There might be less information about those shipments in transit. And so our tool has been designed to simplify as much of this process as possible. You'll see in your screen right here that when you're shipping an international order, and don't worry, our platform recognizes all international addresses, so this will only pop up when you have an international order. There's a section of the order details called custom declarations. This will automatically be filled out if we're connected to your e-commerce store. If not, and you're shipping an international order not from an e-commerce store, you'll have to fill out this information yourself. Essentially, for customs declaration paperwork, you need to tell them what you're sending, where it's from, how much it's worth, and what type of kind of categorization is this item when it's being shipped across border. And some examples of those categorizations are like merchandise, gifts, samples, and those are 3 of the examples out of probably 15 that I know are in that drop down, but I can't think of any others right now. So you select all of that, or if you have all of that information in your e-commerce store, we automatically import and fill out that information for an international label that you're creating. Now, when it comes to selecting shipping rates for international shipments, you'll see rates across our 3 discounted carriers, UPS, DHL, and USPS. USPS is generally a very cost-effective option shipping cross borders for items that are under 5 or 6 pounds. You'll typically have the option to ship USPS either first class international or priority mail international. One of the things to note about USPS is that when you're shipping internationally through a postal or through a country's postal system, what actually happens is that USPS delivers it to the other country's border, and then the other country's postal service is responsible for the last mile delivery of that item. So when shipping through USPS, there may be less tracking updates in transit between when you ship that package and when it's actually delivered. For DHL and UPS, this is often not the case, as they're the companies handling the shipment from start to finish. So if you're sending something that you need really good tracking information on, typically DHL or UPS are going to be your best bets. Additionally, the last thing I'll cover when it comes to international shipping is the option for paying any applicable duties and taxes associated with the shipment. So as I mentioned, Shippo automatically fills out all the paperwork for you so that you don't have to worry about doing that yourself. The one decision you'll have to make is who pays, if any are assessed, the duties and taxes for shipping that package. And you have two options. You, as the sender, could pay any of those fees, or you could have the recipient pay them upon receipt. Those two options in Shippo and kind of when you're shipping are referred to as DDU and DDP. DDU is when the recipient would pay for those would pay those applicable taxes, and DDP is when you, the shipper, would be billed after the fact for any additional or for any applicable duties and taxes. These are assessed at the border, so we can't estimate those costs. But there are really good estimation resources available online. If you just do a quick Google search, like what will I pay in duties and taxes for shipping X item, you'll find an answer pretty quickly. So you can figure out how you want to handle that additional cost within your pricing model for your business. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of shipping out an item internationally, Shippo's going to make that process crazy easy and take care of a bunch of it for you based on the work you've already done within your e-commerce store.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. That was super helpful. Now I have pretty much everything lined up. My package, my carrier. I know how to get my package picked up. And so I'm pretty much ready to send out. One thing that I really like when I'm ordering online is the immediate email that something is coming. It's probably my favorite thing about online shopping. And we are able to handle that as well on our side. And Mike, let's talk about notifications.
Yeah, great example, Joe. I think I'm just like you. Whenever I order something, I get that confirmation email that the company received my order, and then I wait on that shipment email. And then even though they tell me how long it's going to take for it to get here, I'll hit that tracking number probably 7, 8, 10 times, depending on what I ordered. Needless to say, Shippo is here to help your customers in that experience as well. So Shippo has automatic notifications that you can trigger to send out to recipients either automatically or on a one-off basis upon the creation or sending of that shipment, and upon delivery. So you can have both of those options automatically, you can have both of those notifications automatically sent from Shippo to the email address associated with the order in the email address section. So as long as you have an email address and the address information, you can trigger those notifications to go out upon the shipment and upon delivery. And we can brand those notifications. You can add your own custom text, make it look very pretty, and include, I think some of our vendors include discount codes for future purchases and things like that. You can manage those in our settings and notifications tab. They'll be about halfway down on the left-hand side. And then within an order, if you don't want to send them out for every single order, but you want to do it for a few, you can trigger that notification email after purchasing the label. It'll pop up. It'll say send notification email, and you can send it at that point. The other thing to mention is that if you have notification emails coming from your e-commerce platform, Shippo will automatically trigger those to go out. So say you have orders on Amazon, Shopify, and you're creating those labels in Shippo. As soon as you create those labels in Shippo, we'll map over the tracking number to both Amazon, Shopify, whatever your e-commerce platform is, and we'll change the order status from usually it's pending or that there are a variety of different statuses different e-commerce platforms use, but we'll update that to fulfilled. And so if at that point you have triggers set up in your e-commerce platform to send out a notification email, those will automatically go out and they'll include the Shippo tracker.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And then once I get a package, this rarely happens on my side, but I really appreciate when the returns process is super easy. And that's something that we can also handle on our end. And Mike, I'm going to come right back to you to talk to us more about returns.
International shipping, returns, these are all my favorite topics. Thanks for lining these up for me. So handling returns, super easy in Shippo. You can either, once again, do them all automatically where you create return labels at time of shipment and include those in your package, or you can create them once a customer reaches out to you to have that item sent back, or excuse me, to send that item back to you. In our settings and labels section, if you'd like to create a label or a return label for every outgoing shipment, you can automatically generate that. And instead of one label, it'll create the outgoing and return label. And then a lot of our vendors will include that return label in the outgoing shipment. Additionally, after you ship the package, if somebody reaches out to you to get a return label, as you're seeing in this GIF here, all you need to do to generate that label is go to this shipments tab, find the order you're looking for, and then there's a little drop down menu right next to the download button on the right hand side, and it'll say create return label. Within that section, you'll be able to update information about the package. So if they're sending back one item instead of two, you'll be able to make sure to adjust all that information there. Last thing I'll mention is that we do work with USPS, UPS, and DHL. For USPS and UPS, those labels will be scan based. So meaning you won't be charged for those return labels at time of purchase. You'll only be charged when they're used by the actual shipper. So if you're downloading both outgoing and return labels at the same time, you'll only pay for that return label if it's used. Very important, provides a lot of flexibility in generating returns. Super easy to do that within Shippo. A lot of different ways to manage it for a lot of different businesses, and there's no additional cost.
Awesome. So we walked through kind of the different steps that you have to think about when you are starting to ship online and create labels for your products. But we didn't really talk about the very first thing you have to do once you've made all of these decisions. And it's, putting all of your orders somewhere. And in Shippo, we call that connecting your store. And Sergio, I'm going to come to you to guide us on how to do that.
Yes, so this is very, very important. So how do I connect my store? So this is probably going to be just about the first step when you're actually signing up. And what's really cool is we are going to help you with that. So we're not really going to leave you in the dark when it comes to connecting your store. If you actually sign up today, it will walk you through that process. So we're going to ask you, what store are you on? Are you on a store? If so, you can choose from the stores we have available. And in that initial onboarding process, we will walk you through and we will get you connected with your store. So one process is pretty much signing up today, and then we would show you how to do it. We'll take care of it. Let's say you already have an account. Maybe you skip that process. You can actually go into the settings in Shippo. It's kind of showing you there in the GIF. You can go into settings. You would go into stores, and then on the top right, it's going to say connect store. And then from there, you will be presented with all of our integrations. So you'll go ahead and choose, and then it will walk you through the process there as well. So for the most part, I want to say the stores are just going to ask you for a username and password of that account, and then permissions. There might be a few in there that are going to be a little more complex, and you might have to get like an API key, for example, from Shippo or from the source and exchange them. But that's very uncommon. So as far as connecting the store, you're just going to go to your settings, stores, connect store, and then we will provide all the instructions to get the store connected. If there's any type of failure, you will be aware. If it was successful, you will also be aware. So you're probably saying, wait a second, I don't actually have an online store, or maybe I don't have something that's supported. How am I going to figure this out? So one of the easiest ways there is you can upload your orders. You can upload your orders from a CSV file. So if you're managing everything from, I don't know, Google Docs or even Excel, you can get all those orders, export that as a CSV, and then import it into Shippo. Once you import those orders, it's going to look very similar to what it would look like if you did have a store connection. So it's very simple. But now, wait a second, you just asked another question. I don't have a store. I don't use Excel. I get emails of my orders, or maybe I just take them over the phone. That's not a problem either. You can create full manual labels, full manual orders. So you can go into Shippo on your orders page, click on the top right where it says create a label, and that's it. You can create an order. You can put in the info for the packing slip, put in your customer information, and get a label. So there's options here. If you have a store, we can connect it. If you don't, we can offer manual labels or even a CSV file. And then maybe if you're more complex, maybe you have a custom solution, a custom website, or something that just isn't supported, but you do want automation. Shippo does have an API. It's available to all of our customers, and you can build out an integration. So if you have something that we just don't support, or it's fully custom that you've built with your team, we can get a connection. We can get those orders over and generate labels through our API. Of course, that would require some developer work on your end. If you have the resources, we also offer resources as well if you need that. So that's how to connect a store.
Awesome. Thank you both for guiding us through all of the different necessary steps to really get started on shipping out all of your packages. So we left a few minutes. I know that Mike and Sergio were answering questions throughout the conversation, and hopefully we were able to answer a ton of your questions as we went through this, but I'm just going to leave a few minutes if Mike or Sergio want to come on to answer any questions. And if you ever have any questions following this presentation, we are always online. There's a ton of ways to get in touch with us. Email, it'll show up in the next slide. support@goshippo.com. We're always happy to help out. If you're logged into Shippo, you should see chat or a call request. Again, we have tons of resources to help with. If you have any questions or need help with anything, always reach out. But Mike or Sergio, are there any general questions that we can help answer? If there are specific ones, we'll try and reach out to you after this this webinar. But if there's anything general we want to address out loud, we can do that as well.
Yeah, and we'll stay on here for about 5 minutes. We'll try and answer. I'll try and answer some of these questions that have been submitted on the Q&A. So we'll go ahead and do that. Another thing I wanted to leave you guys with is we actually just extended our free promo for Shippo. So make sure to sign up now. Make sure to upgrade to a pro account because it is the same price, pro and pay as you go. We're going to be free throughout 2020 and I believe until January 31st. So please take advantage. The time is now. You're only going to pay for postage with Shippo as long as you're under 5,000 labels per month, okay? So just wanted to put that out there. But we'll go ahead and answer some of the questions. We'll take questions until about for about 5 minutes. So I'll try and answer some of these here that are live. Are we able to view past webinars? You definitely can. I think Joe might have the resource for that.
We usually have it online, but we also follow up with an email.
Cool. And let's see, Mariche, I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. Will the notification of fulfilled once we create the label work on Square? So yes, if you have an integration like Square, Etsy, Amazon, Shopify, once you fulfill the order on Shippo, it will communicate back to the e-commerce platform and mark it as fulfilled, okay? And is there a feature to place/demo and check pricing? It's not exactly a feature. It's really just going into Shippo and creating a manual label. So you can create an order with your information and then the example of the destination, and you will get a real rate. You don't have to commit to buying that label. You can just look at the rate, exit out, and then you can hide the order if it's just something that you're playing with. So it's just standard. You can go into Shippo and get pricing live, okay? Let's see here. So Joel, we are integrating with Facebook, so I'm still fairly clueless. So unfortunately, we don't have an integration with Facebook Marketplace at the moment. I believe in the future we may have one. But for now with Facebook, if they offer the ability to export your orders as a CSV, you can import them into Shippo. So yeah, I think for now, we just don't have something that's turnkey there. Mike, do you want to answer Randy there?
Yeah, happy to. Sorry. I'm a couple of these I was laughing at. Alan, I believe I spoke to your wife earlier today. She should know exactly what you're looking for on that front. Just plug in the WooCommerce information and you can have our integration take the place of what you have set up there. Sorry, which one did you just point me to? So I was laughing about my answer here. Which one were you pointing me to? I really apologize.
No worries. It actually, it kind of disappeared here. It's not there anymore. I'm going to try and
Okay.
find it really quick.
Joel, and apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. How do you compare your FedEx rates versus ours? That's a great question. So you'll want to connect your FedEx account to Shippo, and then you can compare our rates versus yours for a similar shipment. You can do that by going to our settings and carriers tab. In the top right-hand corner, there's a big button that says connect carrier account, and then the first logo that'll pop up is FedEx. All you'll need is your FedEx account number, confirm the address associated with your FedEx account, and then plug that in, and then use the create label button to enter a sample order, and you'll see all of our rates versus your rates, and you'll be able to see whose are better. Let's see.
And Randy, I did find Randy's. It was dismissed on accident. Sorry, Randy. So you said I have two FedEx account. Do I just turn on the account? I want Shippo to price out for a particular order. Yeah, so you can actually add both of those FedEx accounts in Shippo. You can add a nickname to distinguish them. This is actually a new feature of ours to be able to distinguish them. So if you want to have them both on and just see the pricing, you can do that and make the right decision. Or you can turn one off, one on. Totally up to you, okay?
Paul, Shippo unfortunately is a package and parcel service, meaning the vast majority of our shipments are under 200 to 250 pounds. Amazing that you have a propeller. Unfortunately, I don't think Shippo is going to be the one to provide a free quote for that. We are package and parcel, so unfortunately that doesn't seem like an area we'll be able to help, but glad you found a propeller. Joel, Fishbowl. There are a lot of different options in Fishbowl. We can follow up with you after. I know Ship Express is a great option within Fishbowl that a lot of our users plug in our API directly into Fishbowl, so they manage their entire shipping process in Fishbowl, but they're still using Shippo. So happy to follow up with you after. Sergio will follow up with you after. One of us will, to make sure that we get you in touch with Fishbowl there.
Cool. Yeah, Madeline. So are discounts given for bulk shipping or a tier we hit to get deeper discounts? Unfortunately not, because we have already negotiated the rates. So the rates that we're providing you are the rates that the carriers gave us. So regardless of the volume of our customers, the discounts will be the same across the board. So every single customer, whether 5 packages a month or 5,000, you will be entitled to the best discounts that we can offer. If you want to possibly get better rates than us, you would have to negotiate independently with the carrier on your own, okay? And it would, just as an FY, it does take a lot of volume to be able to beat our rates since they're so good. Kathy, so I used a shopping app that was linked up with Shippo. They charge $5 shipping and the label was flat rate up to 5 pounds. Is this something you offer? I'm interested in this for my own business. So when it comes, this is kind of like a tough area here. When you're purchasing something, through a company and they're offering you shipping, a shipping price or option, that's the options that they're providing. And if it's powered by Shippo, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the Shippo price. It just means that that is what they are deciding to charge. So if somebody's saying, for example, we're giving free shipping, it doesn't exactly mean that it was free. We charge them, and then they choose to charge whatever it is that they want. As far as I know, based on what I've learned and know, I don't think there's any type of flat rate option that is $5. I believe the very, very cheapest is 7 something for like a small envelope with a flat rate. So I apologize about that. There may be some confusion. I'm assuming that they are working that price into their product, or they're just covering the rest of the price to reflect $5 shipping, okay? David, I'm integrated with Squarespace. However, my shipping fulfillment is not congruent with Shippo. How can I fix this? So I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. We do have an integration with Squarespace in order to have the orders flow into Shippo for fulfillment. The live rates from Shippo won't exactly plug into your Squarespace, but the orders, once you have that integration connected as far as Squarespace and Shippo goes, the orders should be able to flow into Shippo automatically, okay?
And Umidan, is it necessary to weigh shipment if you're shipping clothing? Carriers need to know the weight to give you a price. The more accurate weight you provide, the less you'll have to deal with surcharges, either if you're providing underweight or a return package, or in the instance where you overestimate, you may pay too much. So we always recommend doing whatever you can to make sure you are entering as close to the real weight of the package for the shipment as possible. And really apologize about that name pronunciation. I'm 100% sure I got it wrong.
So, Alan, if my customers provided me with name, address, etc., can that automatically be transferred to the label without me doing it manually? So I'm not sure what you mean by the customer provides you. If they're providing it to you manually, like over the phone, email, or something like that, then yes, you would have to enter it in manually. I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from. If it's coming from the order, you're connected with your store, Shopify, Etsy, whatever it may be. If they're providing you their information in the order, then yes, that will carry over automatically into Shippo. Otherwise, you would be entering this info in manually, okay?
And that definitely works with WordPress and WooCommerce, which is what I think your wife and I discussed this morning. If I'm getting you wrong,
Oh, okay.
I really apologize. But yes, that'll all transfer over. If you're getting an order, you can always copy and paste that information, but you will have to enter it.
Cool. It looks like the last one. You could take it.
Square. Are you letting me take it because you're not quite sure? And so our e-commerce. Do you know if Square has to be published before we connect?
As far as I'm concerned, I want to say no. You won't really be able to get any orders in because once it's published, but I'm almost certain that you should be able to add your Square or integrate it without it actually being published. There should not be an issue.
Shipping confirmations are sending out emails that don't have enough details. Can you change the information details in the email? David, yes, you can edit the information included in your emails in the settings and notifications tab in Shippo if that is coming directly from Shippo. If you're not referencing enough information about your items that are being sent out, one fix may be to edit the way those items are listed within your store, as we're sourcing that information directly from your e-commerce store. So if it's item information, SKU information, color information that you need to come through, we're sourcing that directly from your store. And so editing the way it's shown there may provide a quick solution for you. Size, same thing. And you will have to, very likely that's I'm sure you can see how it's mapped over from your e-commerce store. And so I would just maybe move that up in the description or something along those lines. All righty, Sergio, we got them all? Mina, you can add your own UPS account to Shippo, compare your rates versus our rates in Shippo, and be able to tell whose are better. And like I said before, have transparency for each individual shipment that you're sending out, knowing you're paying the lowest rate possible. You can do that in the settings carriers tab with the add carrier account button.
Sergio, you're on mute. I think you're talking.
Sorry. Deborah, I will have somebody from support reach out to you, okay? Thanks for giving me that insight there. I will reach out.
Okay. I think that's it. I can't really see the Q&A box, being the host on my side, so sorry
Look
about
at that.
that.
30 questions, Joe. We just rapid fire. Sergio, you're tremendous.
Good job, team. I definitely appreciate the expertise through this webinar. And I hope everyone has a great Friday. We hold these every other Friday. So if you have friends or other people that are just starting to ship, send them our way. An email will go out with signups every week. But everyone have a great weekend, and we will hopefully see you online. Reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.